What up, world, and welcome back to the Pursuit of the Good Life podcast, where we talk about how to enhance your relationships and crush those professional goals. I am your host, the Kameron Lovelace, joined as always by the amazing Dr. Sarah Benson. Sarah, what's going on?
I'm good. How are you doing today, Cam?
I'm okay. It's got a lot of good feedback from the first episode, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I feel good too. Thank you to everybody that has watched and listened. I know y'all was probably like, what is she texting me for this early in the morning? So thank y'all so much for taking time out. I did. I work in a school, and so I'm up at like 5 every morning. So my texts were out at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. So thank y'all for being good sports about that. I appreciate y'all.
Yep. Thank you for all the positive feedback and the constructive feedback that we've both been getting. So I'm going to try to apply that to this one. But I want to start off with a new segment called Am I Tripping or No? So basically, I'm going to tell y'all this story, and y'all want y'all to tell me if I'm tripping or not. Okay? It's pretty simple. So for those of you who are married, you know that for us guys, we have to kind of take cover when it's that special time of the month for our women. And I typically try to do good, but last night it was, like I said, I got to know if I'm tripping or not. So last night, I am, of course, she's my wife, Sparkle, love her to death, and she's going through like a period where her belly is hurting. She act like she's dying. She can't move, all this good stuff. And all that's great. I get it. So I'm cooking dinner. Okay. I'm making the little meal things I was talking about last time. I bring her a plate. She's good. Can you do this? Can I do this? Yes, babe. Here you go. Yes, babe. Here you go. And then okay. So it's all good and dandy, right? Okay. So when we're going to bed, right? And so I put up her phone because she's clearly falling asleep. It was late at night. It's time to go to bed. So I go ahead and take her phone, put it on the charger, and then walk back to the bed, and then try to do the little snuggle action because she kind of like, and then she like, why you all up on me? I'm like, dang, all this I done did, and then on top, and then she gonna come back and say, did you at least set my alarm for in the morning? And I'm like, oh, no, she didn't. She's not going to act like I didn't just do all this and that and third, and then she's just going to go out. So I just want to know. I know that, of course, you're bleeding from your uterus. Makes me glad that I'm a male every day. I get it. If I was bleeding from there, I would probably have an issue too. I get it. But am I justified in feeling some type of way that she's going off on me after I done did all that I done did throughout the night, catering to her, making sure she's all right. Now I'm glad we have this segment and that we have a female co-host. So I need this. So tell me, Sarah, am I tripping?
So Cam, I think you tripping a little bit. And this is the reason why.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure our female listeners kind of agree with me on this. So when it's that time, it's like, and depending on the type of person that you are, some people, they have really easy ones. So it's like, cool, they can go run a marathon and be good to go. And then you have some people who have really intense. As somebody who's had like really, really intense times, you do not feel like yourself every day. And so for her, I do think it's funny that she asked you about setting her alarm, because she probably was like, well, you took my phone, so... Now that, okay, I give you that one. I give you that one.
It's my responsibility to make sure you get up.
No, I give you that one. Okay. The whole setting up the phone. But as far as the cuddling piece and stuff like that, sometimes you really and truly, like, you're in so much pain, you don't want to be touched. Like, you just want to lay there and just hope that God will take mercy on you and just take you out in that moment. So on that part, I definitely say, like, you probably should have kind of asked, like, hey babe, you want me to hold you? Like, what do you need right now?
But the crazy thing is, she be acting like, you don't want to take care of me. I'm hurting. You should know that I am hurting and that I just want to be taken care of.
True. So I agree. You should know. But in that case, sometimes you do have to ask, like, hey, babe, like, do you want me to hold you right now? Or what's going on? Like, seriously, though, because sometimes, like, you really are in so much pain that it's like you literally can just sit there or lay there or whatever. I know for me, I used to have to do, like, literal yoga poses just to get some type of relief. So on that piece, I think I'm gonna side with her, but the whole phone one, yeah, that was a bit much for me.
So I'll take 50-50.
Okay. So next time, just ask, hey, do you want to be touched? Do you want to be held? And then go from there.
Okay. I'll take it for now. Wow. So I'm 50. So I'm half tripping.
Half tripping.
Okay.
Yeah, you're half tripping on that. But that's really, it's so, and I can honestly say that it could be a little different month to month. So I'm telling you, not necessarily no, but just kind of understand. I think the word here is just understand.
I understand completely, but I'm supposed to be tripping because I didn't set the alarm, and because I don't want it, because I'm trying to comfort my wife and I'm getting snapped at because of it, and I'm saying, why are you cranky? Which I get that you're not supposed to kind of say like, are you cranky, or say you on your period, or those. I know you're not supposed to say that, so I didn't say that. So, but we're just gonna leave that where it's at.
Yeah.
But if you got am I tripping moment, please feel free to submit it, and we'll review it live on the podcast. But let's go ahead and dive straight into the topic for today. And the topic centers around, our dreams. But I was having a conversation with one of my church members the other night, and we were talking, catching up. And of course, she's in a relationship. She's about 1.5 years in. So of course, I bring the question about,
where is this going?
Where's this going? You thinking about marriage? She said, I mean, it's definitely on the table, but I'm taking my time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, cool. But she was like, but I definitely, want to have my first kid before I'm 30. Okay. Now, mind you, she's 26. And I was like, okay, I mean, you might want to take your time with your husband, get to know him. Because, I mean, let's say he proposed tomorrow. It takes about 6 to 9 months, get the wedding together. Yeah. And then let's say you want to spend at least 2 years. Well, you knocking on the door at 28, 29. And then if you have a kid right then, bam, then you'll get it before 30. But, I told her, I mean, it's okay not to have a kid by 30, it's okay. She said, I mean, of course, but I want to have a kid. I definitely don't want to be 35 having a kid, which Sarah's like,
I don't think there's anything wrong with having a baby after 35. I mean, Janet Jackson had a baby at 50.
Well, it is true, but everybody ain't got Janet Jackson resources.
That is true.
But after that conversation, it made me think about, do we have an expiration date for our dreams? And that made me start thinking about how many people I've seen like give up, like, their goals were this, but because they feel like it reached a certain point in their age, or like whatever circumstance happened, they feel like they can't start again. I mean, there's just so many layers to that. And I hate that feeling of that your dreams do have an expiration date. But what are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I don't think we have an expiration date on our dreams. I feel like there are some things that can happen quickly, and I feel like there are some things that are going to take time. And the reason why I say that is, so I will be 30 next month. And one of the things that I recently have begun doing is just kind of looking over like the past 10 years of my life. And so I can say that when I was in college, I had like this dream or this goal of, I'm going to be married by 22. Right? I'm going to be married by 22. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have my first baby by 24. I'm going to be done by 30. Clearly, I have not had any children, and I'm about to be 30. Okay. And I'm not married. And so, but I don't think that my dream of getting married and my dream of having children has expired. I just look back on it that it just wasn't time for that. Because I'm going to be honest with y'all. At 22, I had no business being nobody's wife. Like, I had no business being somebody's wife. And I think that as a society, and even more so Southern culture, we're kind of like programmed early on that like you need to get married, you need to have these kids, like you need to have all this done by 30. Or something, or 25. Yeah, you need to have all this done by 25. And I think what happens is many people who have this desire to get married, they have this desire to have children, and then we set these timelines or these boundaries. And when it doesn't happen by 25, it's like we begin to get discouraged. We begin to say, well, okay, something got to be wrong with me. I'm 25, I don't have a husband. Or I'm 26 and I don't have children. Not really recognizing that maybe it's just not time for that. Like, what's going on in your world at this time? And it isn't really a feasible thing to get right now.
And that's facts. And I think a lot. And of course, this is a male's perspective. I'm about to say this. I'm about to speak on see, look at this. My wife texting me now that she outside. Baby, you gonna be a studio audience? Okay. All right. So like I said, this is from a male perspective. But I do feel like, especially when it comes to children, that women operate based on a biological clock, whereas when it comes to marriage, I'll say that specifically marriage, women operate by a biological clock, meaning that there's the fear of having complications with later having kids in life. So it's like there's this pressure to get married in the prime of my biological condition, and then to get married so that I can have as many kids or whatever time frame as possible. Whereas men, we operate based on a financial clock. Okay. We operate based on am I where I'm at? Am I where I want to be financially? Am I where I want to be at career-wise? Do I have enough saved in the bank? Do I have enough to, financially support this? Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's pressure on both sides. Okay. So if I'm a 32-year-old successful woman who has a great successful career job, do I give up on having my 4 or however many kids I want to have, and do I just limit it to, okay, let me just get 1 kid? Do I then adjust the dream based on where I'm at, or do I keep going and still push for those 4 kids? And that means that when you're done, you're probably going to be about 38, which means when you turn 18, you're going to be what, 56, 46, whatever that age is. Yeah. When that child turns 18, which, it's crazy to say out loud, but, a piece of me feels like that you shouldn't okay, y'all, my dog is getting on my nerves, so please excuse her if y'all hear her in the background. But a piece of me feels like that you should keep going, like if that dream is, but it's about whether your determination for that dream, whatever that particular dream is. Whether it's, babies obviously is the extreme example, but when it comes to for example, career goals, or for if you want to achieve something, or if you want to go back and get your master's, or if you want to go back and start your business and you feel like you're too old or it's too late, or, I'm no spring chicken no more, and I feel like the time has passed for me. I just don't believe in that. I just believe that, you can still do it now. It just takes a level of determination and grit to continue to do it and pick and get back on the saddle and keep doing it. Because, age ain't nothing but a number. Look at people like Justin Gatlin, who is, I don't know if you know who Justin Gatlin is, but he is a track runner for USA, and he's 37. He'll be 38 when he competes in the Olympic this year. And he's been competing since Usain Bolt was competing back in 2008. And here it is, 2020. So he's been running for 12 years. He's been to every Olympics since 2008.
That's what's up.
So that's 12 years worth of staying in shape when, all these 22-year-olds are still coming in, and he's still getting second at the World Championships last year.
That's really cool.
So, but he never got gold. So should he give up, even though, at 2008, I didn't get gold because I lost the boat. 2012, I didn't get gold because I lost the boat. 2016, I didn't get gold because I lost the boat. So I just hang it up and just not aspire to get the gold medal at 38, or should I give it one last go and keep going? And he he got silver at Worlds. So that means he's definitely top.
Really fast,
he's the top in the world. So he could get it at the Olympics this year. This could be his year.
And it could be. So, I mean, I honestly, personally, I don't think he should give up. But like, I do agree. I feel like there's some things that there shouldn't be an expiration date on. So if it's something that's dealing with your career or with, what's his name again? Justin Gatlin. This could be his year. Like, so like you said, since 2008, he's gone to every Olympic, and he's gone to the Olympics, he's gone to the World Championships, and he clearly is doing something because he's getting silver. This could be it for him, like, because we do have the Olympics this year, and so I think that his persistence and his determination to keep going, I think that's commendable, and so I think that he should still keep going. You had said something earlier about like the difference between the men and the women as far as like the whole childbirth thing. I mean, I do think there's some truth to the fact that women, we are kind of on a biological timeline because technically speaking, we only have a certain amount of eggs.
Ain't no technically, it's a fact.
That's a fact.
Right.
So we only have a certain amount of eggs. And so yes, there is that desire to, you know, get married and have children. I don't think that, and even with being, if you are 32 or 35 or even 40, like if you still have that desire, like we've, as a country, we have so many technological things that I still think it's possible. Like I feel like there are so many options in the world where if you have a desire to be a parent and like that is your lifelong dream, there's so many ways you can do that. You may not necessarily physically carry the child, but you have in vitro. You can adopt. Like there's so many things, but I feel like that sometimes we reach a certain point in our lives, and if we haven't reached certain goals or reached certain dreams, I feel like sometimes we do give up, or we might listen to other people. They're like, oh, you're 32. Like, what are you going to do? Are you guys going to have kids? Are you going to go back to school? Or maybe you're too old. And sometimes we do let like outside influence kind of impact the way that we're thinking about our goals and our dreams. Because I'll be honest to y'all, I am from a very traditional Southern family, to the point to where my family, I really feel like sometimes they think like the ultimate goal is to get married and have kids in your 20s. And so for years,
so
that
they
was,
look at you as a failure? You're about to be 30.
I don't know if they look at me as a failure. I just know that always seems to be the topic of discussion. Like from like 23 and on, it was like, oh, we're going to get into a relationship, or are you going to get married? Are you going to do all those things?
Right.
And as somebody who's been going through grad school, somebody who's desiring those things, getting that feedback from your family, that can really mess with like your whole perception of like yourself. That can make you start thinking, well, maybe something's wrong with me. Like I'm still not married. I still don't have this.
That's true, but I think you also, I mean, in your particular situation, and I think because other people are going to feel this way as well, come from similar backgrounds here in the South, is that your parents got hitched after what, 6 weeks? No. It was less.
6 weeks.
6 weeks of knowing each other, like married, not engaged, they knew each other for 6 weeks and then got married. So that was a completely different time. And then the families, of course, consented to that and all that type situation. So that was a completely different like culture of like accepting of that. So you do have to take that into consideration, where that perspective is coming from. And also, I think you have to look at, where they're at and if you want to be there. So, for example, if you come from a family who prioritizes getting married in your 20s, but, you have different aspirations, you have different views, you have different aspirations. You want to get your PhD. You want to start a business. You want to, become a $100,000 and they're satisfied with being a $40,000 for the entire family, like type of income situation. But you have completely different views, and knowing that it's going to oppose that, sometimes you have to be okay with that. Like Sarah got a whole PhD. She was originally going to be a lawyer because the lawyer represented rich stability from that background, but she had to learn that wasn't her version of happiness. And I think some of you got to realize that, you know, when you're letting other people, you know, have a say or have some input, let me say that, have some input into what you're feeling, you know, it's going to oppose, and that's how it's going to be. But I do want to speak directly to kind of the people that are in the 20s that, you know, maybe just graduated college, or they're just really emerging into real adulthood. Cause you know, college is kind of your practice.
Yeah.
You get to practice being an adult, you know, you get to mess up a little bit and not have too bad consequences. But those of you who are in the, you know, mid to late 20s and you're thinking about, you know, should I hang it up? You know, originally I wanted to be a nurse. Originally I wanted to get my PhD, but you know, when I graduated, I had to get working, and here I am. I've been working for 3 to 4 to 5 years, and and there's no sign of getting to grad school in sight. But it's still not over. You still are young. I know a lot of us follow Gary Vee, and we feel like, you know, he be saying, oh yeah, you're young as F. You know, you're only 28. You know, you can be 45, 50 years old and still be young. And I mean, to a point, he's got it right. You do have time, because reality is, if you sink in and rearrange your life, you can knock out a master's degree, depending on what your field is, in 2 years. Yeah. If you really sit there and grind it. Even if it takes you 5 years, you'll still be able to get to your goal and get to the thing. So I don't think anybody should let your dream, your aspiration expire or die. Because now, understand, it's going to take a high level of determination, grit. It might even make you having to reshift your life around for a second. Whereas, for example, my wife, she had to take a step back. She had to, you know, wait till I finish school before she starts now looking to go to school, because she's probably going to go back to school next year. But while I was in school for 2.5, 3 years, she took a step back and she was working full time, and she was just supporting me. And now we took turns, so that now it's time for me to support her. So yeah, sometimes you may have to shift your life. You may have to make some adjustments, but those adjustments in the end can be worth it. But you got to be willing to do that and make that shift.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I think oftentimes, like you said, we get to a certain point, especially like in our mid to late 20s, where it's like, okay, I had all these plans, I had all these goals, and that's not what happened. And you really do have to shift. You have to shift your focus. One of the things I think that helped me was the fact that I always thought about, like, okay, I want better than what I have right now. And so whatever that looks like, that's just what I'm going to have to do. And so that meant going back to grad school. And so that meant making that sacrifice, because it is a sacrifice. But also being okay with that. And so I think we have to be okay with the journey shifting. And so, because like I said, I think we kind of put in our head like this picture of, okay, this is what life is supposed to look like. This is how I'm supposed to get there. But then when that doesn't happen, we kind of let that kind of stop us from shifting. So I think we have to be okay with, okay, this route didn't work. Let me figure out another way. And so I'm a big fan of another way. Like, I feel like there's always another way to get it done. Yep. It may not be what you wanted at that moment. It may look different. So like, if your goal was to go to law school, but you don't have the GPA, you can go to grad school first.
Yep.
You can go to grad school, build up that GPA, then get to law school. It may take a little more time, but you're still going to reach that goal.
You might not be able to get it done before 30.
You might not be able to get it done before 30, but if that's what your ultimate goal is, like, you just have to shift your perspective of it. Mm-hmm. And I do think that sometimes we do let time and what others say and just this idea that it's not working out how you want it to work out to impact what we do.
Yeah.
And so.
And you are absolutely right, because you said because she said there's another way. That means, guys, you got to be flexible. Yeah. With the dream. Don't have just a rigid plan like, I got to get married by 25. I got to graduate by this point. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I got to do it this way, or else it's a failure. It's a failure. And you always got to look at it as there is another way to skin this cat. There is another way to achieve this goal. There's there's another way for me to make millions of dollars. There's another way for me to get the house. I can get married at later date. I can focus on my career right now. I can go to therapy and get myself together and take this 5 years to really rebound myself before I'm even ready to get married and get into a relationship. There are so many different ways for you to get to the goals you're trying to get to. But another piece of that is that you got to have a level of, I will not quit. I cannot give up. And so I think and I think we had a conversation before this about millennials, but I think a lot of people in the young adult generation, so Gen Z and millennials, we have a level of, we just quit. Like we just quit because we want delayed gratification, or we want instant gratification instead of, we want it right now. We want to make all the money right now. We want to get into grad school. We want to get married. We want to drive the cars. We want to do it right now. And then when it doesn't happen, we're just like, okay, I'm off that. I quit.
And move to the next thing.
Let me move to the next thing. I don't want to be a nurse no more.
Right.
Let me be a PA. Let me not be a PA no more. Let me just work here. Okay, let me work at Enterprise. Let me work at HP. Let me work at a corporate and just work my way up there, and then I'll be happy then. When really you just chasing the bag, but you ain't chasing what your original goal was. You kind of gave up over here.
Because it probably didn't look like what you thought it was going to look like, or maybe it was a little bit harder than what you thought it was going to be. And so then people are like, well, this is too hard. I'm going to go over here. Right. Or these people are acting this way, so I'm going to go over here. Maybe this ain't really the real goal. I'm trying to do all these other things. And we just quit. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and another thing that you said that I think, and I don't know if this is like a generational thing or maybe it's across the board, but we're afraid to fail.
Absolutely.
Like, I think it's just this idea that if I fail at something, that it's just over. It's the end of the world. Like, I'm worthless. I'm da-da-da-da. But the reality of it is sometimes you're going to fail. And it's okay. I personally think there's beauty in failure. Because to me, I feel like I tried it. That didn't work out.
Right.
I know it didn't work out. Let me move on to the next thing. Or maybe there's another way. Or maybe I can see a better route because this route didn't work. But we're afraid to fail.
You're absolutely right. But I think everyone's kind of afraid to fail, but I think it's about how you handle that failure. Now, hold on. I'm going to put on my therapist hat for a second. And I do think it's about like kind of how you've grown up, like viewing failure. Okay. Because I'm gonna give you a prime example. So my first semester of in our graduate program, you have to maintain a 3.0 GPA, and if you only can get 2 C's. Period. Once you hit that 3rd C, you're out. Like you're kicked out of the program. Well, you got to sit on the board, and then basically you start the process. You got to fight your way to stay in the program. Sit on the appeals and all this good stuff. So my first semester of grad, and I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but my first semester of grad school, bam, boom, boom, 2 C's.
Oh wow!
And so now mind you, I come from having a culture of like regular C's because I graduated with 2.9. So me and C's were familiar with each other. Like C's are nothing, but I came into the program. C's get degrees, but not in the master's degree.
Not in the master's degree.
And so I came in, with the C worth ethic and the C mentality and all this happened, and boom, boom, off top. Only took 2 classes, foundations and research.
Oh wow!
And I think I got C's in both of them. But off top, I'm already batting low, and I gotta retake those classes again.
Of course, yeah.
And so, in that moment, I could either look at it as, dang, I'm not able to do this. I should quit. I should give up, or I could do what I did, and I say, okay, my back's against the wall. If I get 1 more C, I'm out of here. So I'm going to put forth 100% effort into making sure that I kill, crush, and do not put forth the same effort that I did in these previous classes. And that next semester, when I took 3 classes and went full time, I got all A's.
That's good.
So it's about how, in this thing, and of course in therapy we call this resilience, and that's in layman's terms, your ability to bounce back.
Yeah.
So what is it? How do you deal with failure? Are you the type of person that when failure happens, or when you mess up, or when you don't get the grade you want, or you don't hit the marks that you want at work, or if something doesn't go right, what is your response? Do you crumble? Do you sit in the corner? Do you cry? Do you get the ice cream out? Do you watch Netflix all day? Do you just give up? Do you get shell shocked? Or do you say, you know what, I'm gonna figure this out? This way didn't work, but I gotta be like Sarah, and I'm gonna say there's gotta be another way for me to figure this out. And I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna try every single way that I know how until I've run out, and then I'm gonna try again. Yeah. And so what is your response to your failures?
So for me, I'm gonna cry at first. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think for me, and I think I tell this to most people, like, I feel like when you are facing something and it's something that you failed at, I feel like you need to give yourself a moment to feel that and to process it. So whatever that is. So for me, I'm gonna cry. I might give me some ice cream. I'm gonna give myself a day. And then the next day, that's when I'm gonna say, okay, these are the facts. This is what happened. This was your response. This is what you did. What can we do better?
Yeah.
And so my mind, and I actually take that approach to pretty much everything in my life. So whenever something goes wrong, whether that was at school, at work, even in relationships, I try to go back and think, okay, what happened? What was my response to this? What can I do to do better? Because I feel like if I can do everything I can, or I did everything I could in this moment, that's the best I could do right then. So now, if this is the best I can do, what are some ways that I can become better? You know, maybe if it's in school, maybe I needed to study more. You know, maybe I needed to take a step back. So for me, going through the last leg of the dissertation process, I had to take a step back from some things. And the reason why was because I had become so busy going through that I began to slack on what I needed to do for myself as far as school. So like I'm teaching, I'm here, I'm at church, I'm doing all these things, and now I'm faced with a situation to where I don't have what I need. Like I'm missing some things. Like, and these are important things I need to get to the next part of this process. So I had to take a step back and really think like, okay, Sarah, what is, like, the goal is to graduate. How are you going to get there? Do you need to take a step back? Do you need to let some stuff go? And so that's pretty much the approach that I take when it comes to failure or to anything. Like, I give myself time to process it, and then I try to figure out, okay, what can I do next? So. But
some people they don't want to, and this is what's crazy to me, and I see this a lot of times with my clients, is that they don't want to take that hard look in the mirror and say, okay, I need to make this adjustment, because if I keep going down this same path, I'm not going to get to where I'm trying to get to. I'm not going to get the result I'm trying to get if I continue teaching Bible study at church in the youth department. If I keep saying yes here, I'm not going to have time to even sleep, let alone write a dissertation. And I don't know why it's so hard for some people. Well, yes, I do. Scratch that. Because it's about the environment that, you know, kind of that you've been raised in. But matter of fact, it's also, I think, about your sphere of influence. Because if you got people who are your best friends, who gave up, who maybe could tell you, oh, give up on that, girl. You know you turning 39 this year. You don't think you should hang it up? You don't think you should just focus on getting a man? You don't think and you might say, no, I'm on the breakthrough of breaking out of my $1 million business. Yeah. I'm just there on the tip. And I think that plays a huge part in your sphere of influence, because I'm gonna be honest, I think I might be the only, I'm alpha, but I have 6 line brothers, and I don't think any of them finished grad school. Really? Or even went, maybe some people might have started but didn't finish. And so I kind of felt like, I do know in that time when I was in grad school, I was kind of like the lone man going through grad school, and they knew I was busy, but
they didn't really understand.
They didn't really understand, but I think I had to do that because I couldn't. Whereas and I had line brothers who were older than me, mind you, and I think where they kind of quit or they kind of always switch careers, I think I was the only one who kind of really stuck with like what I said in the beginning, like I'm gonna be a counselor. That was always my goal. Like from the time I got to college to the time I graduated the first time, when I left, even though I took like 6 months off, I still said I'm gonna be a counselor. What I gotta do to get back on the horse. Even when, I didn't take the traditional route, where, you take the GRE while you're in school and then immediately go from graduation
to grad school
that following fall. Like I took a minute. I had to get my I had to block out everything. I had to take GRE.
Yeah.
Because nobody gonna take it for me.
That's true.
And so I think your sphere of influence is huge. So I do want to challenge you guys to look at what are the people in your close inner circle, what are they doing? Yeah. And what are they saying? Are they encouraging you or are they dream killers? Because if they dream killers, then your dream is eventually going to expire.
Yep. And also, I do want to add to that. So sometimes though, the people who are the dream killers, they may be people that you can't get rid of. So it might be your family. And so you have to learn, how to, one, be secure in yourself and remind yourself that, like, listen, this is my goal. This is what I'm going to do, regardless of what people say to me, regardless of what my family may think, regardless of what my friends may say. You have to get to a place where it's like, you know what, this is what it's going to be. And that's it. Because I'm going to be honest. So it's easy to change your friends. So it's easy to be like, okay, such and such are not supporting. They got to go.
Or for now, I can't hang out with you.
Right. I can't hang out with
this time of grind.
Right. So right now, and I've actually had to do that. Going through the last leg of my dissertation, there are just some people who I just couldn't talk to. It was nothing against them. Absolutely love these people, but it's just the way that they looked at the world. And because I had this goal, like talking to them would have really brought me down. And so I had to take a break from certain people. But when you get to a place where it's like, it might be your family, or it might be people who are just super close to you, you just have to learn how to let whatever they say roll off your shoulder. So just say, hey, like, so for me, for instance, I think it got to a place with my family where I think they just kind of gave up that I was going to get married. So then they was like, well, when you gonna have some kids? Like, for real. No. Like, it got to that place. And so for me, for years, I used to let that like really like impact the way that I was thinking. And that really impacted like really hurt my self-esteem. Like, there are times where I legit would go home and cry because I'm like, well, dang, like, is something really wrong with me? I'm out here trying to get a degree and these folks worried about when I'm going to get married. And so finally I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. That's how they think. That's how they're always going to think. I'm going to let you think that, but I'm still going to go do me. And doing me and making that shift, that really helped me get through those conversations. So I was like, hey, okay, it's cool, whatever. It'll happen when it happens. And that just became my response. It'll happen when it happens. But you have to learn how to navigate those waters with the people who you can't just cut off or just not deal with on like a daily basis.
You better than me, because I just would have cut them off.
You would have just cut your family off?
I mean, for the time being, like, I can't cut them off forever. But for this like period of time, like, no, I can't go to the barbecue.
Yeah.
Like, no, I can't come over for family. I gotta study.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta build this business model. Can you go to, family reunion? No, I can't. I've missed family. I don't think I've been to a family reunion since the last one that was here in Memphis.
Really?
And I think that was 2016. And we have one every 2 years. So yeah, I missed 2018 because I was getting married. So like, well, no, that's a good reason, I mean, that's a good reason, but it was because I got to focus on, what I got going right now, because I'm trying to build a situation for me better. Like, no, I can't. Like, me personally, and that's great. I mean, sometimes some of y'all got to keep it and y'all just got to let it roll off. But to me, it's just irritating. Like to hear you come to me with the same thing over and over. Like when people come to me and my wife and be like, when y'all gonna have a baby? I'm saying, oh, so you're signing up to be the first babysitter. You signing up to be the very first babysitter. As soon as the baby comes out, you coming over to babysit immediately. And typically that shuts them up. But I digress. But you also gotta, in hearing you say this popped in my head. You gotta learn to not put other people's limitations on you. Yeah. Don't accept other people's limitations as your limitation, because people will say, they will give you advice based on their own worth ethic. Yeah. And their own and what their own determination, what they didn't do. Yeah. So, being a lawyer is way too hard. You shouldn't do that. You should just get your MBA. That's real easy. Because they got an MBA, because they tried to take the LSAT and failed and couldn't do it. Or, starting a business, quitting your job, starting a business, that's way too hard. You shouldn't do that. Because when they tried to launch a business, it failed miserably. But don't let other people's limitations, understand, like Sarah said, understand that their perspective comes from a place of their own limitations. Yeah. Especially if you have heard from God and God is telling you to do something, or telling you to go back, or telling you to, hey, you're not finished yet. I need you to really, really block them out. I don't care if they're family. I don't care if they're your mama, your daddy, your sister, brother, uncle, whoever it is, you need to really block them out. Or if you can't block them out, you need to get people whose voice is way louder than they are. Get some people who do believe in you. Get some people who are doing something with their life, and get some people who can hold you accountable as well. Who can say, look, you told me you want to get this dream. You said this is your dream. Hold me accountable. I need you to do this. So here I am to remind you of what you told me. Friends like that are really, really invaluable. Yeah,
I agree to you. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Because I'm going to say, so when I left law school, first of all, I'm a first generation college student. So for me to get to law school is a big deal. And when I left, I had so many people. And like I said in the other episode, I still have cousins who ask me law questions. Mm-hmm. But that first year, I had so many people, including my dad, who would just say why did you leave? Or what are you going to do? It was as if being a lawyer was the end all be all for some people for my life. Yeah. And so if I wasn't so focused on, okay, the Lord told me to go, I'm really going to follow God. And it was scary because that's a step of faith. I could have easily not gone to grad school. That could have easily made me feel well, dang, what am I going to do? Maybe I made a wrong decision.
You easily could have just job hop after after that spa closed down. Right. You easily could have just.
I could have just been job hopping. I could have been doing all of that. Mm-hmm. But me just focusing on, okay, I know the Lord told me to go. I know that he did. I know it's going to work out. Did I know when I left in 2013 that I would be here doing this, or that I would even have these degrees? No. I had no idea that it was going to turn out like this. It just ended up working out like that. But it can be very easy to let those things happen, or let what people say influence you. But you just have to learn how to block it out. And I was going to say, as far as being accountable, so when I was going through the dissertation process, Cam was a part of my accountability crew. Cam would text me once a week and be like, did you write? Are you writing? Are you doing this? How many pages did you write? Which for me was great. And it really helped me get through that process, because he was holding me accountable. I told him I had this goal, I'm trying to get it done, and he held me accountable. And that really helped going through, because that was a really difficult process. My dissertation ended up being 127 pages. So, right. Having those accountable people in your life, that helps you through the difficult things. It helps remind you of what your goal is. And it helps remind you of the ultimate dream at the end of it all. So I agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I think a period of it also is which I think this is probably one of the toughest parts of, not letting your dream die, is getting somebody that's ahead of you. Yeah. That has done what you're trying to do, who can also like encourage you along that way as well. So for example, if you want to start, let's say you just want to do something simple. I'll break it down real plain. Let's say you want to jump into real estate, but you don't know anybody. Nobody in your sphere of influence has even touched real estate. Only real estate they have is their own house.
Yeah.
But you don't, have anybody who can teach you the way, who can show you what a loan looks like, what looks like to scope out a property, whatever the whole process looks like. So you're just like, well, I don't know what to do. So, and there's nobody ahead of me. And every time I try something, I'm always hitting my head on the wall, and that can get real discouraging. But I think it's real important to find somebody who has some skin in the game and what you're trying to do, or is a little bit ahead of you, or maybe even further ahead of you, if you can get that reach and that contact. So maybe that means you got to find somebody to bring into your sphere of influence, to find somebody who has maybe already got a PhD, who could say, oh man, I remember my dissertation was about 200 pages and I get rejected 300 times. And I was so nervous, but when it was over, you're going to be so glad, you're going to be so happy that you did it. And then for those of you maybe trying to have children, yeah, girl, I was that same way. When I was 32, I thought I wasn't gonna have no kids, and then boom, I got pregnant the first time I had quadruplets. So you just don't know what other people have gone through. And so people, that encouragement as well as accountability can also be really beneficial. But I think it's really tough to find those people. Yeah. But I mean, this is gonna sound like pie in the sky, this Christian magic, all this good stuff. But you really gotta, I think, pray that God will send those people in your life. Yeah. And I'm a true testament that if you are ready, God will send those people when you are ready to receive it. Because the thing about God is God doesn't want you to mess anything up. Yeah. So he's not going to give you $1 million if he knows that you're just going to blow it all the next day. He's going to send you through a process of where you know what to do with it. You know how to save some of it. You know how to invest some of it. You know how to pay off debt, and you know how to give back to other people before you get the $1 million. So I'm like, God, what's up? I know how to do all this stuff. So where my $1 million? But that's just me. But I really think that if you pray that, somebody with that encouragement who's been a little far ahead of you, you'll find yourself in the room with people, or maybe you even know these people already. But you just need to ask questions. You don't even know it. So if I want to get into real estate, I know the first question I'm going to is Dennis at our church, who is killing the game in real estate right now. And he said, whenever you're ready, just let me know. And so a situation like that, or if I want to start a business, I'll go talk to Kelvin, and because he started multiple businesses. So he could talk me through all that situation. Or if I want to get a PhD, I got Sarah, I got my mom, I got different people in the alumni network, and I just can seek them out. And I think I know that's easier for some people than others, because some people want to, I don't want to I'm not good, Kameron, I'm not good at networking. I don't want to put myself out there. Well, then, dadgummit, you want to stay in the same place that you at.
Did you say dadgummit?
Dadgummit, you want to stay in the same place that you are at right now. And so when are you going to get sick and tired of being sick and tired of hearing the same people doing the same thing? And here you are in the same cycle of the same process, not achieving, letting your dream die, basically. And so that is, I guess, my challenge to you guys is to really see, have you let your dream die? And what can you do to give your dream, to water your dream so it can get life again?
That's good. That's really good. I like that. We're going to water dreams. I like that. Yeah, no, I agree. Networking is really key. And like Cam said, you never know who you know or who knows somebody that you know until you ask a question, until you say something. A simple hey, who knows how to do this? And I promise you there's somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody who has done what you're trying to do, and that they're willing to help you through that process. I wholeheartedly agree with you with that. I like that. We're going to water some dreams.
Right. Well, that's all I got. I done dropped, I don't know how many gems I done dropped in this one. But you got anything, Liv?
I think I'm good. I think this was good. I like those gems. I'm going to have to give these to some of the kids that I deal with.
Right.
I'm letting them dreams live and grow and not die through the process just because something didn't turn out the way that you thought it would.
Right. So guys, yeah, look. Please listen to this podcast over if you need it, because I know I went fast. I know I didn't pause like the last podcast, but do what you got to do to really get what you need from this podcast, particularly if you feel like you've given up, or if you've let your dream die, or if you feel like you pivoted because you feel like it was too hard. Like really do some deep reflection on this podcast. But also, I really want you to give us 5 stars. So give us those 5 stars. Right now, at this moment, we are on Spotify. So if you don't have time to sit down and watch the whole YouTube interview, if you got to get your workout in, if you got to walk, talk, if you got to clean the house, you can listen to this whole thing on Spotify right now. We're coming to other podcast platforms very soon. But for now, we're just on Spotify. Also, follow us on Instagram at @the_pursuit_podcast, where we'll be posting, where we're going to have, like I said, by episode 4, maybe 3, we'll see. Actually, probably we'll say episode 4 just so we have enough time for you guys to ask your own questions, for you guys to post topics, for you guys to, am I tripping or no, or all the types of situation, the _pursuit_podcast on Instagram. So please follow us, give us those 5 stars. We're coming back. I forgot to say this last time. We are posting this podcast every single Thursday. So
watch out for us, y'all.
Make sure that you tune in every Thursday, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Spotify. Tune in and join the conversation, because we are doing this really for you guys. I think I'm getting a lot out of this too.
I am. I'm getting a lot out of it.
But we're really doing this to really help you guys in your pursuit of your own version of the good life. But if that's all you got, that's all I got. All right. Well, until next time, keep chasing after your dreams, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.